Everybody, welcome to another Age of Grogu, and I got with me today Max. How's it going, Max?
Doing good.
Cool, cool. It's just the two of us today. Jason's got some uh, family things, and Elijah's got a friend in town. So we're gonna cover the hill. We didn't get in last week. It was busy last week, but so we've got about 2 weeks of news to catch up on. What's been going on, man? What you been up to?
I've been running around doing comic book stuff.
Yeah.
Went to a small show yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I
Small
got some
show.
good
There's never
deals.
small shows. Oh yeah. What'd you get?
There was
Anything
it was
cool?
actually a very small show. It was like a
Yeah.
smaller than a ballroom show. It was in a restaurant
Really?
basically.
Really?
It's a ballroom in a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I got some interesting books. This one, Spider-Man #1, Tom McFarlane, pretty
Hated it
classic
all.
book, 9/8. Just classic. And then
Uh-huh.
this one is the interesting one. This one is one I was after for a while.
Okay.
This is the first
Hold it
appearance
up.
of Apocalypse.
Okay.
This is the first appearance. It's
Wow.
technically a cameo, but this is the first
Okay.
time Apocalypse appeared in a comic book.
All
I
right.
love Apocalypse. One of my favorite
Uh-huh.
X-Men villains. He's awesome.
Is that a rare one?
Um,
Is it expensive or?
it goes for a pretty penny, but I got both these together. I paid $50 together
Really?
for both of them, so
Wow.
25 a book, which is
That's cool.
pretty insane. And then I got some other good deals.
Yeah.
For any Ben Riley fans out there, this is the first appearance of him in his Scarlet Spider.
Okay.
It's the first Scarlet Spider Ben Riley. Pretty cool book. Pretty sought after right now. And I can't find it right now. It's somewhere in the pile. But I also got
Uh-huh.
some New Mutant stuff. First appearance of Magma, New Mutants 8, and some other
Okay.
Fantastic Four stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. That's cool. Yeah. What kind of it was just a small comic?
Yeah, it was put on
convention.
locally just by
Okay.
a promoter and a few comic book stores. It's called
Okay.
Comics and Cocktails. It was
Okay.
just a pretty chill event. Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas was there, which was
Okay.
interesting. He writes Marvel comics now. He was signing his Daredevil and Echo book and his
All
Spider-Man
right.
books that he writes and a few other stuff. And yeah, he's
Nice.
chill dude.
That's cool.
Um, yeah.
Nice.
And
Very
then
cool.
are we gonna talk Transformers yet? Are we gonna talk? Should we save it?
Yeah. Let's talk Transformers. Yeah. We'll talk
Yeah.
Transformers.
Other
All right.
bit of Transformers news and comic book news. This
Uh-huh.
book was revealed this week to be part of a new universe, the Energon universe, which is going to
Right.
contain the Transformers IP, which is going to launch with a new #1 by Daniel Warren Johnson in the next few months,
Okay.
and a new GI Joe ongoing by Larry Hama, classic GI Joe writer from the '80s.
Okay. Oh,
He's going to
cool.
continue his run, which is going to be insane.
That's
Um,
cool.
so they're bringing those two universes together in a new universe, the Energon universe. So
All right.
that is connected to the new movie too, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say you watched the new film, obviously.
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
love the new Transformers. You liked it too?
I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I mean, was it the best film in the world? No. I mean, was there flaws? Absolutely. But when it comes to the Transformers genre, I did enjoy the very first one they did, the first movie. Um, but then after that, everything was just a failure for me, and I didn't even watch the last one. I don't even know what I mean. Number 5, whatever. I saw
It's
Bumblebee,
like
but I
8.
didn't see. Yeah, I've lost count of
I
how
think
many there
Bumblebee
is.
was the last one.
Oh, really? Maybe it's the second last one, the Age of Extinction or whatever one it
Yeah,
is.
I didn't watch that one. There's a
Okay.
lot of those Mark Wahlberg ones I just kind of didn't watch.
Yeah, they yeah skipped over. Yeah, but nothing still compares to say the 1984 animated film or the original Generation One series for me. But this was the closest I think that I felt that we've gotten from Transformers of that generation because it was a few years later. It was 1994. We will talk a little bit of spoilers on this, so if you haven't seen it or you're waiting to see it, you may want to skip past this point, guys. But yeah, the fact is, it felt like original Prime a lot more. It wasn't all the fancy designs and stuff like that. They kept, RC is one of my favorite animated characters
RC
of
was
all the
great.
Transformers. RC was great in this too. I wish there was more of her. In fact, she was
There was a few
fantastic.
characters I wish we got more of. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
some of those beasts just kind of stood there in the background.
Mm,
We got a lot of Air Razor, but
yeah.
not much of anyone else.
But going into it, I mean, the trailer showed off a little bit of Unicron, and I was impressed. They really took to what the original Unicron looked like, and they also kind of didn't fulfill the story arc. It's like they were setting up future story arcs with Unicron coming back because they need to deal with him, untransforming and stuff like that at some point. I want to see the planet destroyer destroy real planets. And it'll get close to Earth, but it never quite got there. The threat's out there, basically. But I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters, the actors who were the live action side of the story. I felt their purpose was just and fun and simple, but it was definitely fun. That was my thought. What are your thoughts on it?
I really liked it. There was a lot of moments where you're just sitting there like, what is happening? This is crazy. But in all the best ways.
Yeah.
Mirage was way more fun than I thought he was going to be.
I
And
enjoyed
I'm surprised
Mirage.
they
Yeah.
didn't put Pete Davidson's voice in the trailer because that he does not stop talking that whole movie, which you would
Yeah.
think would be annoying,
Yeah.
but he's pretty fun and chill and
Yeah.
like, oh, I can get down with Mirage.
Yeah.
But they don't use any of that in the trailer. They're just like,
Yeah.
let's just show him transforming a bunch.
Yeah. That's
Optimus
fine.
Primal was dope.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like the beast characters and stuff like that. How's it going, Anchorman? No, I
When
haven't
they
seen
said
the
roll
Elvis movie.
out, I believed it.
Yeah, I did. I believed it. Like in the original ones, I was not exactly into that whole rollout, and Prime was definitely a different version of what Prime should have been, and in the original stuff at least. But yeah, no, where was it going? With what's it called? The Beast Wars, the Beast characters. I never got into the animated series. I was probably in my early 20s or late teens.
Yeah, I could never get down with that show. It always looked a little weird.
And the animation was really early CGI for animated TV shows, and it was bad. But I tried to get the concept of what they were all about, and I know they kind of altered the lore a little bit in this, but I actually enjoyed their existence in this particular story. And felt that they actually
It was subtle. They
served a
didn't
purpose.
step on the lore. They didn't disregard it. They were like they showed how they got along with nature before humans existed, and it was kind of a coexistence for a while. And there was other threats out there. I like how they set that up.
Yeah.
I feel like they were trying to set up a prequel movie for them, and I don't think that's ever going to happen.
No, I don't think they hold enough interest of characters.
No, yeah,
to
I
do
don't
that.
think they hold enough interest. I think maybe if they gave like some of those characters more lines, maybe, but
I did it. I like the use of Unicron sending Scourge to be his key warrior. Scourge, of course, appears way back in the Transformers movie. He's actually transformed and remerged as one of the what were they called? It was Galvatron's new army, I guess, and he was one of the original jet fighters that got remerged as Scourge by Unicron. But the fact is, a great kind
some
of
people seem
entertaining
to
film.
think that that Scourge in this movie was Optimus from the future.
What? How?
There was, I don't know how there was some there because he also turned into a truck at one point.
Yeah.
And there was some other body parts that were similar, and
Yeah.
people were trying to rationalize it.
Yeah.
Would be crazy if true, but I don't buy it.
There were Transformers that existed that were multi-Transformers. They could transform into one or the other.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
multiple versions of. So
I don't know why he was the same kind of truck as Optimus for that one shot, though. I remember thinking that was definitely going to confuse some people.
Yeah, we're talking about Transformers. Yeah. Did you see it, Anchorman? Yeah, I get. Well, they had a truck that was part of the toy line that was a darker version of Prime. I guess
But it wasn't Scourge.
Yeah, it wasn't Scourge. No, it was. I forgot his name. My God, that goes back to the toy line. So that was way back. But yeah, what else went on in the film? Unicron was cool. The idea of using a MacGuffin that is just like, oh, it's another
I'm so sick of
lost
Transformers
technology that Earth. That ended up on Earth like millennia ago, and it's like
it was Merlin like 2 times ago. It was like the sword of Merlin. I'm so sick of these Transformers MacGuffins. You got to get past it and just come up with an interesting plot where you don't need that kind of plot device.
Yeah,
because I think we as an audience are past it too.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean, think about it. They're selling a toy product as a.
I know, but why do they always need that one thing that both sides are after?
Yeah, well,
like
anything.
There's other ways to have conflict.
I like the fact that we saw a lot of like Energon on Earth and stuff like that. That was kind of a first too. The Energon Valley and stuff like that. Because we haven't really. I mean. At least from what I saw in the movies, they didn't really touch on Energon, and Energon was always the big thing in the animated series, that they needed more Energon to keep power up and keep moving.
They always needed their fuel.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. Well, you need fuel to move. They're vehicles. I mean,
exactly,
at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And they kind of lost that in the translation.
I always figured in the Michael Bay's movies, he figured they took gasoline.
Autobots rule out. No, I can't say it. Yeah. No, that's the thing. No. Yeah, the movie version is like, they don't. I think they ran off some sort of Energon power thing, but it's like, the cool thing was in the animated show, you'd always see the Decepticons or the Autobots losing power, and they just get slower and slower, and they had to retreat.
Yeah, like Spider-Man running out of his web fluids. It was their Achilles heel. It was the thing that made them not unstoppable.
Yeah,
because in the movies they're always just unstoppable until they break each other apart.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, at the end of the day, I was entertained, and I would like to see more sequels of this genre. And I don't think they totally wiped out or changed the other sequels.
No, those are all. They briefly mention other people, and these are still in the prequel verse.
Yeah.
To the Michael Bay movies.
Yes.
Which I don't know. They're going in full X-Men where they're just like, our continuity doesn't matter. We're just going to keep moving forward.
To a certain degree, but there are things that, I mean...
They are doing better than X-Men. They are doing a lot better than X-Men.
I agree.
But the ending of this movie where they bring up that whole new team that they're working with, left field.
Okay, so, all right, we're going to talk heavily spoilers. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, so we're going to talk heavy spoilers right at this moment. Let's do it. At the end, there is a post-credit... Well, no, it wasn't a post-credit. It was before the post-credits.
It was in the middle of the movie.
It was in the middle of the movie, but they drop it was right at the end there, wasn't it? When the kid who has been, helping Mirage and all that all through this whole time gets basically... arrested, brought in by some military guy or something like that, and ends up by basically getting recruited into G.I. Joe, and I was
let's run that back 10 seconds.
He
gets recruited into G.I. Joe.
I thought it was crazy. I mean, I'm not a G.I. Joe fan at all, but I respect the material. So for them to actually do this crossover, I was expecting, I didn't, that was so left field. I was like, this is actually kind of cool. So I want to see these characters. I want to see the two leads be kind of a reoccurring thing. They need to stick with a reoccurring lead.
Keep trying that. I think what happened was this time they couldn't get Haley Steinfeld back. I think she was their original plan, and then she got too big. So now they're like, we need someone smaller.
Well, I mean, Mark Wahlberg was even mentioned. I get another spoiler here, but they had the great line when Mirage says, "Oh, Marky Mark ended up by leaving music, and now he's gone into acting in movies," and I just died laughing because even though I never saw the Mark Wahlberg ones, I actually,
I think they're canonically confirming that character he plays is a version of himself, masquerading as someone else.
Yeah.
And it's just Mark. They're just confirming it's just Mark Wahlberg with a gun the whole time.
That is also where that can kind of work in. It was like that future version could still be a film of the Transformers around this new alternate reality change. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, I had fun with it. I'm glad it existed because it's the first time I felt like wanting to go back to see a Transformers film since the first one. I mean, even Bumblebee for me, the opening, I never saw it in the theaters, I only saw it on Blu-ray, but the opening scene was amazing, which the first 10 minutes or so was like old Cybertron and the entire Cybertron war going on. And it was so reminiscent of the original Generation 1 animated show in the opening 2 episodes of when they left their planet. And to see all that in live action was kind of cool, live action CG. But then the story kind of was just a bit, yeah, it was weak. It was, I got it and everything. I'm also glad they made reference to that film in this one because they talked about.
I'm glad they didn't focus on Bumblebee again for the 20th time.
Yeah. Like, no, I like the fact that Mirage became this step up character. I love.
Yeah, everyone likes Mirage. He's a fun character.
Yeah.
I want to see them do the other side of that, where it's just Megatron hanging out with a kid.
Right. Yeah.
And the kid's just evil as hell, and Megatron's like, "No, I'll show you how to really be evil."
That'd be kind of fun, actually. That'd be definitely worth it for sure.
It'd be a fun play, and what they always do, they just pair Transformers with like children or something like that, or someone young. It's like, let's do the reverse. Let's put the children with the Decepticons.
I'd be down for that. I'd like to see a real Megatron though, like done properly. And I'm not talking about because even the first film, I did not like that version of Megatron.
They use Megatron a bunch in the Michael Bay universe, and it always the more they use him, the more underwhelming he seems.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they always missed on that character. Anyway, let's move on past that. Actually, I was going to go into some of the other things that dropped. A few little things dropped this past week or two. They dropped a poster for the new Ghostbusters movie coming out later this year. I think it's in either November or December. I love Ghostbusters Afterlife, and this is kind of like got ice frozen over. So it's like, okay, something mysterious, cool. We know it's in New York City. Apparently, I did read that they announced that Bill Murray is definitely making a reappearance in this one as well, which is kind of cool. I'm glad that he's stepping out of his somewhat seeming to be avoidance of returning to that character, and being more accepting as he's getting older. So,
and Ernie Hudson's going to be in it too, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think, and I assume
that's what the end of the last movie set up.
Oh, really? Yeah, you're right.
He was the guy that bought
the
it.
Financial,
the
financial tier or whatever, yeah. But I'm curious to see a trailer for that. I want to see what they're doing with it. I want to see how this plays out. And I do know that they go into New York City this time, so it's back in the city, which is kind of cool. Announced today, actually, Stranger Things Season 5 is adding Linda Hamilton to the cast. Who plays?
Does that mean there's going to be a giant robot? There's got to be a
That'd
robot.
Be cool. Actually, that'd be fun.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
This show is just manufactured nostalgia.
You're right.
Like, they're just going to have her fight a robot.
Yep. Yeah. No,
when it happens, I want someone to come back here and just write in the comments, yeah, Stranger Things is probably too predictable at this point.
Possibly. But it's cool. I mean, I thought Linda Carter was just wonderful. I've always loved her. She's been there throughout my whole life, watching her from Terminator all the way through kind of thing. So it's like I'm kind of glad that she's still, she's not doing as much work and not as active these days, but that the fact that she's being pulled into a show like this could be kind of fun. So I'll be curious to see what she plays. I personally never, I thought the first season of Stranger Things was definitely a phenomenon and worked. And after that, it just became repetitive.
It became... How do you have a season with an hour and a half long episodes and still accomplish almost nothing?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what happened.
They spend, if you look at how many character beats there are, you could have accomplished all that in an hour and a half movie.
Yeah.
And for this show to just stretch everything out and just keep adding more and more plot onto it to make it just longer and more stuff.
Yeah. No, anyway, I'll be curious to watch it. I'll watch it at least once, and that's about all I've done with the Stranger Things shows.
Yeah, I can't watch this so long. It's so much watching now. As it goes on, it's like that last episode feels like it's 7 hours long.
Yeah, agreed.
You get to David Harbour picking up the Conan sword, and I should be super excited. I love Conan, and I'm not even excited. I'm just like, why can't he just finish this?
Yeah. That's funny. Okay, she's getting older. Yes, everybody gets old and gets wrinkled. Even I am. So what can I say? But at the same time, Linda
But
Carter
she's
still.
got old.
Sorry. Linda
And wrinkled
Hamilton
while
is still
killing.
Linda Hamilton. She's awesome.
But she's still killing Terminators.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, so yeah. I actually never saw that last Terminator film.
No, I couldn't stomach to watch it.
I could. Yeah, it was a bit. Did you see the little promo piece that was put up online this week for Rebel Moon, which is the new.
I did not actually, and I've been looking forward to that movie. I just met someone that was.
It's
that
not a
worked
movie.
on
It's
it,
a,
and he
it's a
told
series.
me.
It's a series.
Oh, it's a series now.
Is it a series? Wait, or maybe it is a movie. Hang on a second.
I thought it was a movie. Yeah. I think it's a movie.
Maybe it's a movie. It's a two-part thing then. I thought.
Yeah, it's two-part. Yeah,
that's what it was. Okay. I didn't realize this. Ray Fisher was in it. This is him in one of the scenes there.
Yeah. Ray Fisher's in it. I knew that. He announced a little bit of the cast back then. From what I've heard from someone that's worked on it, it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be something. He's described it as he's worked on a few stuff with Zack Snyder, and he said this one's something special.
Yeah. I think it was shooting last year at the same time. I think Ahsoka was shooting, from what I understood, and they were kind of a parallel with each other. But according to Zack Snyder, he always wanted to do a Star Wars movie. And basically when he didn't get the chance to do something, he basically, as far as I understood, kind of said, "Oh no, do my own."
It was a Star Wars movie. It
was.
That's
what it was a pitch, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a pitch.
It was more than a pitch. Really? It was at one point. He pitched a Star Wars movie. They said, "Yeah, we want to see a script, though."
Right.
Because apparently they weren't worried about his stylization or directorial. Yeah. They were worried. So, what kind of script would you want to do?
Yeah.
He's not known for having the tightest scripts. Right. I like his movies, but it's not known for just tightness in his script. I think Star Wars wanted something tight.
Yeah.
And I think they ultimately passed because they didn't think connected to their larger universe, and they thought it's too big to be its own self-contained thing.
Yeah.
So he said, "All right, I'll just change the names."
That's it. Yeah, he just changed a couple of things.
Could be great. I love when people do that stuff, and they're like, "It's uncompromising." It's like, you know what? Yeah. You say you don't want it, I'll make it anyway. That's my favorite thing.
Probably. I mean, my thing is still, and this is just simply, I don't connect with Snyder's style of directing. So, and style of choices visually. I think I'm going to have to take a leap of faith to watch this and enjoy it. I'm going to be going in skeptical, I have to admit. So I don't know. I mean, I'll be curious to see what is done from it, but they showed a little bit of video footage. It was more like a documentary or behind the scenes approach.
I don't think there's a proper trailer out for it.
It's not, it's not a proper trailer yet. We'll see. I mean, but that's the first look image that they've actually dropped from it. Other first look images they dropped this week was a poster for
Avatar: Last
Airbender, and then they dropped some images. And excuse me. There we go. And then Aang. I think he looks cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it looks better or worse than M. Night. It just looks
really
like another Aang to me.
You're right.
Okay. I don't know. I was kind of hoping they'd show a picture of Aang smiling.
Yeah.
Because he looks so serious. That's the thing that caught my attention. Serious. He looks so serious. Yeah. We don't need like a gritty avatar.
Yeah, and then they also dropped a few other ones here. Kaya, is it? I can't pronounce
Katara.
Katara. Oh, sorry, Katara. Oh, yeah, Katara. That's it. It's been a while.
Yeah, she's doing some water bending.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is that they look like they're using kids. I mean,
he looks the most accurate. He's got that Sokka face.
Yeah, he definitely has that Sokka face for sure. And then they also released Zuko.
That's one I can't tell because of the helmet.
I know.
Obviously Zuko's not supposed to be an old guy, but he looks a bit young compared to the other characters.
Yeah.
But I think that might just be the helmet.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see what Netflix do with this series. And here's my thing with Netflix. I don't think I've really ever watched a Netflix show that's completely blown me away. I've watched stuff and I've been entertained, and I think good. I very much enjoyed Wednesday, for example. But for me, I haven't rewatched, I don't think, any of the shows that they have ever dropped. I've just not had the interest to go back and rewatch more than the one time I watch it. And I'll usually walk away from the Netflix shows as like, that was entertaining. But then I just move on. So I really didn't get into the Avatar Last Airbender until probably about 3 years ago when I watched all of the series all the way through from beginning to end. Actually, I haven't watched The Legends of Korra yet. I do need to watch that. But I enjoyed the story arc over the 3 seasons, and I'm curious to see whether they. I mean, I know the original showrunners walked away from the live action series to go back to doing more animation.
That's what worries me, is that they walked away from this project and said, we'll make our own. Yeah. And now they're making their own animated. Also, I think for Netflix, weirdly.
But it's still...
That's a continuation of their original story, which that's never a good sign, though, when the creators go, I don't like what you're doing, I'm going to make my own.
Well, that's the thing. We're not on set. We don't know exactly what's going on. They could have gone down that way.
It couldn't have been just like the producers were rude for them. It has to have been creative decisions of like, we don't like what you're doing specifically.
Correct. But it also pushed them to driving them to doing, both from what we understand, other versions 20 something years later, after those characters have grown up, is one of their stories. But they've got multiple stories coming out over the next couple of years. So I'm curious to see how that all plays out into, what's going to succeed, what's not going to work as well. Is the live action stuff going to work because of nostalgia, or is it going to fail like Cowboy Bebop did and be just poorly?
I think it could go that way, where it's just another soulless. We have the rights to the property, so we might as well make the live action version of it.
Correct.
And do the bare minimum. Find some writer who will do what we say, and find some director who will do what we say, and have no one who cares about the project to make it good. And that's what keeps happening with a lot of these projects.
Yeah, you're right there. I
Flash.
We'll get into that in a few minutes. we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Well, actually, we can talk about it right now, because that was most of my notes from stuff that came out, and we'll end on Star Wars Outlaws. Yes, the Flash. We won't.
I can't look at that image without laughing now. It's like, what a joke.
We're going to go into light spoilers here. We're not going to go into heavy spoilers, because we kind of, want to let people to see the film at least.
Or not, or skip it.
What were your thoughts, Max? What were your initial thoughts on the Flash?
Honestly, the more I think about it, the worse it gets for me. I really just disliked this film. The little amount of screen time they gave just like characters like Supergirl or
I agree with that.
Any of the Batman.
I wish there was more of Supergirl. I thought she was wonderful.
Yeah, to the pointless cameos they threw in there because they theoretically could on both sides.
And they still didn't put every cameo they could have. There was so many more cameos.
They cut cameos people filmed.
Yeah.
I'm just like it felt like a waste of a movie, a waste of my time. You could tell the writer, whoever wrote the movie, just doesn't like the Flash, because she was like, I'm not going to put any Flash things in it. You had Patty Spivak kind of in the background. You had like Iris got 2 lines, and she was considerably a mostly awful person. She was like, hey, Barry, your dad's in jail. You want to tell me about it? I haven't seen you in a few years. Right? We were friends.
I was not a fan of that version of Iris West.
I was like, you were offended that I asked you about your father being in jail, and I insinuated that he killed your mother? Like, she was like the worst version of Iris.
Yeah, I do agree there. Yeah, she was. That was not a well planned out piece of dialogue for her character.
They didn't understand what they were writing. They were just like, these characters are there. That's going to lead up to all this nostalgia, and the nostalgia wasn't good. This is light spoilers. In the trailer, when you see Keaton with long hair, and when you're so curious as to what happened to him, it turns out what happened, he beat crime, all crime. That's basically what he goes. Yep, I beat crime. It's done. So I retired and am now an alcoholic. Which I'm gonna throw. Bruce Wayne doesn't drink. Bruce Wayne doesn't touch alcohol. It's an important character trait of his. So for him to be a drunk because he beat crime is. You don't like these characters. You don't like these characters. Is how it just felt to me.
Yeah, I definitely don't look at that version of Bruce Wayne, the Michael Keaton version, as being the original that we saw from, and it's definitely not that
No.
version from that universe.
He just said all the
of
lines
89.
though. He said even if they didn't make sense for the scene.
Yeah, yeah. But it was definitely an offshoot of that version, because that was definitely not the Batman from '89 for sure. It definitely.
I think it was a Batman who watched that movie because he was quoting it nonstop. Like anytime there's something happens, like, you want to get nuts, like.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I was lightly entertained.
Also, the
by
guns
the
he used.
Yeah.
A lot of gunfire he had.
Yeah. That happens a lot in the Snyderverse, it seems.
Well, I feel like people criticized Batfleck so hard, and then Keaton was just like, in this movie, was like, you want to see a real murderer?
Yeah, I mean, I was mildly entertained by the film at the end of the day. I enjoyed it, but there was definitely flaws in there. My biggest... Well, I mean, I'm going to talk about the things I liked. I liked Supergirl. I liked the actress who played it. I liked that portrayal. It's one of the few times that I've really enjoyed a new, updated version of a character that feels like it could have been done right or been on the right direction. But we just saw so little of her.
Nothing of her.
Which was a pity, because I really wanted to know more. I wanted to know that she might be around for somewhere in the future. And I know James Gunn is going to be changing his whole universe. We'll talk about that a bit later. But I liked her as that character. And I can't remember the actress's name. I thought she was wonderful.
Sasha Cali.
That's it. That's Sasha Cali. That's it. Yeah.
She was great. She seems nice. Seems like she did a great job. She got no screen time now. They barely gave her a story.
Yeah. I mean, I got more nostalgic over the Batwing than I did over Michael Keaton's portrayal of that version of his character. I love the Batwing stuff. Just going.
Well, it's like
it was cool.
His intro was god awful. It was a god awful Batman intro.
Yeah,
it was like everything in this movie was like just played for cheap laughs rather than actual reverence for these characters. And I think that it goes wrong at the start of the movie when the first action sequence is just something that was like a 1950s danger scene that they just play for cheap laughs. Like, look at this zany moment.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Now and I'm just going to go into one last thing that I really did like. I actually got almost teary-eyed at the end when Barry was with his mother in that last scene with his mother. I thought it worked.
Yeah, because
as a scene.
It's like that stuff always works for me. Stuff with Barry, his mom, his dad, like. Those concepts to the story are so perfect.
Yeah.
I think with Jeff Johns, with those little retcons he did with him in the last 20 years, was so good that it's really hard to screw that up.
Yeah.
But even this movie kind of managed to kind of bungle it with you don't get that many answers. We all know what happened with Nora.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
The movie brings it up and then doesn't. I'm just gonna say it doesn't answer. It doesn't really. You don't go into that at all. It just it does a flashpoint without. Really going to that part. Does Jeff Johns stuff without really going into that part. It really I don't know. This movie had a confusing identity.
Let's talk. Well, I want to talk about the stuff that really didn't work.
Like the ending where he.
I want to start with I am so sick of so many people comparing the movie verses with the TV verse. I personally enjoyed season 1 more than all the other seasons of the Flash, the TV series.
Oh yeah, that was great Flash stuff. It really showed what people like about the Flash.
Yeah, and granted that some of the TV effects definitely show through as being very CGI, Barry Allen moving fast and stuff like that. But you've got a feature film of the Flash, and you see the almost exact same effects over their characters moving.
The running sequence when they're playing the CW music. Yeah. What are we paying all this money for?
The Batfleck fighting in the slow motion CGI just looked CGI-ly bad.
Or when they did the Wonder Woman bit for the 1,000th time when someone's touching her lasso and they don't know it.
But I still got a laugh out of it. I have to admit, that made me laugh still.
I'm like so sick of people. That always like screams to me as like someone who shouldn't be writing DC Comics because it's like, I'm the first person to think of this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's a running gag for sure. Absolutely. But I don't even
think it's running gag anymore. I think it's just hack writing where people are like, you know what would be really funny if they don't know they're touching the lasso of truth. Yeah.
Well, So the thing that bothers me with the CGI and people saying, complaining how bad the effects on television, it's about how the story moves for those effects.
Oh
Effects can be
yeah,
bad.
on the
Effects can be
TV.
bad for me. A special effect can be poor for me. It doesn't necessarily take me out if the story is driving me forward.
Yeah,
And I felt that in, say, season one of The Flash, even though the visual effects were TV and lower budget and this and that, I never got pulled out of
it
anything,
still
and the
felt good.
emotion and how fresh that first season felt as an entire story arc. This film never got me to that level, and my biggest problem was, and I've said this ever since the first day I saw Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, I am not enjoying this portrayal of that Barry Allen. And to this day, this film, I wanted to smack younger version of
Oh
Barry
my
Allen in the
god, if you
face. He
can,
was
yeah,
so fucking annoying, pardon my French.
he was no. You have a right to curse. He was
Yeah.
the most annoying character in a
It
comic book
just,
movie in a long
yeah,
time. He was
yeah,
more annoying than
yeah.
Shazam, and
Make
that's
make
saying a lot for me.
make that character a dick. Don't make him completely and so annoying that the audience member wants to
He
just
was
like,
also a psychopath when he was doing
yeah,
that face, when he was doing
yeah,
the Looney Tune. Like you
yeah.
actually believe he was a psychopath.
Well,
Like
but it just didn't. It didn't.
it didn't work. Having
It
two
didn't work.
flashes
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
work. It
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
serve the. It didn't make the
yeah,
movie better. It made the movie
yeah,
worse.
yeah. Had
And
that
then all
Barry
it did
Allen.
was serve cheap gags. It didn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The emotional moments they had with them were so light and
Hmm.
sparing throughout the movie that it just didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't serve enough of a purpose for to waste so much time on it.
Hey, Laval.
I mean, but it's like this movie was, I think, at its core, poorly directed,
Right.
and that's not a cheap dig. There was part of
Yeah.
this movie where it's like they jump from one place to another with no explanation as
Hmm.
to why the
Yeah.
characters just left
Yeah.
that location.
Yeah.
The inside the Speed Force was intentionally made to look bad, and he says that's intentional. If that's
Okay,
intentional,
hang on,
it's poor directing.
wait. Let's take a step back there about talk about Speed Force or the moving through speed. The visuals on the characters look bad, but the actual effect
No,
of them
yes,
moving
yes.
Barry around
But the
was
effects
actually
that
pretty
they
impressive.
put on those
That was
rubber
impressive.
CGI characters
Yeah,
that they had
yeah,
around the entire thing,
yeah, yeah,
if that's how he wanted it to
yeah,
look, it's poor
yeah,
directing because it just
yeah.
looked it
Yeah,
was
but
jarring.
yeah,
It was uncanny
the
valley.
moment we got into the Speed Force and we saw the different elements, and I won't go into the specific spoilers of certain characters this week.
When
We'll
you
talk
see
about
that
them in the
one
future.
character just floating towards the screen, I'm like, what is? I thought we were in the Polar Express.
Yeah, yeah. It was purpose. It was by design. They made a choice to totally outsync everything in this weird Speed Force way, and it looked like a bad computer game to me.
Yeah, it just looked bad. It wasn't.
And
He
it just
tried. I
didn't
guess he was
work as
trying to sell Barry's focal
yeah.
point, but I'm going to straight up clarify this. The Speed Force actually makes it so he can see everything clearly. He's actually been answered in the comics. Oh yeah, this is actually this is my favorite thing to do right now. I've been waiting for this day for
For sure.
a few days.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
the Speed
Okay.
Force, he can see through and actually get a clear view because the Speed Force protects and makes a barrier that protects stuff like that. And
Right.
that's been answered in the
Sure.
Flash show. It's been answered in the comics.
Yeah.
It's just another reason why you need to have writers who like these characters. And
Yeah.
the fact that Andy Muschietti was announced as the Batman writer the day the Flash came out, it just shows me. I don't think he wanted to make this movie. I don't think he wanted to make a Flash movie. And I don't think.
Yeah.
I think this is going to sound mean. I don't mean to say he's a bad director because I genuinely love the It movies. But we don't need more directors making superhero movies that don't like superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
If he loved Batman, he would say no. Bruce Wayne shouldn't be drinking in this scene, especially if he won. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne doesn't drink, and he wouldn't drink like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just
Sure.
it didn't make sense to make Bruce Wayne a drunk like that. If he liked the Flash so much, he wouldn't have taken away the Flash's powers. He would have let the Flash stand on his own.
I personally didn't mind that because it was showing another side that Barry Allen had to be the one who had to step up to the responsibility.
I
of
mean, yeah.
being and the without the powers, and also at the same time while training his duplicate. That didn't bother me so much. I think
that bothered me the most
Ezra
was
Miller's
Iris. I think Iris is the thing that as soon as that happened, it was the sourest taste for the rest of my movie when Iris was just being kind of just a mean-hearted person. Like, Iris has always been one of the kindest people in DC Comics, and that's something that it's been shown in the Flash show, it's been shown in comics, it's been shown every which way, and the relationship is one of the purest. It's a little purer than Clark Kent and Lois Lane, because they don't have that same kind of power dichotomy where Lois Lane kind of is the boss in that relationship. It's neither of them are the boss. They're a unit, and that's what makes the Flash family so special. And this was, I wish this movie, we just got a Flash movie that was simple and about Flash characters. Like, it could have done a boring movie where he just fights the Rogues, and I would have been happier.
Right.
But this just felt like someone who doesn't like the Flash, and I think I hope that's not the future of the DC universe, is people who are like seeing these characters as stepping stones for their career.
It's also scary because they kind of left a certain amount of it open in the reference. Well, maybe they didn't.
It's not open-ended the way people think it is. It's open-ended in the way that it's showing that they're not going to return to any of this, and that's just honestly, it felt like a mean kick to the Snyderverse.
Yeah,
and just fans of it being like, "Ha, you're dead. You don't even get a satisfying conclusion."
I mean, going into this is kind of semi-heavy spoilers towards the end there. Of I guess that would mean that Barry Allen is stuck jumping between other realities, trying to find the one he came from originally.
He'll never find it, because there's infinite Earths in the DC universe.
Yeah,
there are infinite Earths.
Yeah. So in other words, he's not in the same one that he started from. So it's like,
it really was like a sad thing where initially, according to test screenings, they had somewhat of a closure to the Snyderverse, and they gave those characters an ending together. And this is light spoilers, but as everyone knows, Barry's dad is in prison throughout the movie. The original ending had the Justice League showing up to the courthouse to lend support for Barry, just to show that their support, and that was going to be that their definitive moment of them coming together, not to fight the injustice of evil, but to fight the injustice of the system within. And it would have been a nice way to give closure to the universe. Instead, we got a cheap joke. I'm not going to say what that joke is, but it was a very expensive cheap joke.
It actually didn't bother me. I like that little cheap joke. Again, with slightly different perspectives there.
Well, I just felt like, we don't give ending. Think about what it would have been like if he got back and instead he had a scene with Batfleck where he got to talk about his experience, and they had to have some actual closure on the movie and the moment.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how they reportray and remold, how James Gunn's going to remold this new DCU, because he's officially said that Blue Beetle will be the first of this new universe of his.
I'm excited for that. That looks fun.
Although, it looks interesting. We'll see. It looks kind of. I'm curious to see a character that I've only just recently explored from by learning about from the Young Justice animated series a few years ago, when they introduced Blue Beetle in there. So I knew nothing really about him until then. So I'm curious to see what they do.
He's a newer character to begin with. He came with the 2000s with Infinite Crisis. He's not someone that a lot of people really have.
Yeah, but I am afraid I got the kind of similar vibes that we got from Shazam films.
Yeah.
Off the trailer that it is. I could be wrong.
I just think they need to focus in bringing in people who like and enjoy these characters. And until that happens, we're going to get mediocrity.
Yeah. Let's get nuts.
That was the worst offender in the movie. I don't know why he said it. I don't know who he thought would understand that line. It's like from 30 years ago.
It was kind of a random line to say that, isn't it? In the process of the dialogue that was being said,
it made no sense. It made absolutely no sense,
except for being a nostalgia throw directly at the audience. I agree. I do agree.
He did that like twice with two different lines in the movie. I just remember thinking these characters haven't seen your movie, pal. They don't even know you. They don't know what you're referencing. You're just saying these lines to people who don't understand it.
Yeah. Now, this is something else I wanted to talk about. Okay, so box office opening weekend. This film has only been basically making. It's Elemental is becoming the second. Well, Elemental
Oh, I
dropped
mean,
the same day as the
I think we
Flash.
know why though. It's not because of the Flash. It's because people expect those releases on Disney Plus because that's how they conditioned people.
To a certain degree, I'm going to go more with the fact of we used to have big budget extravaganza films coming out once every 2 weeks, and in between every second week during a summer, they'd release the smaller ones that were not going to be as big, and they knew they could put into the side theaters. Every studio is fighting for the top billing of Adobe or an IMAX, to put
Yeah, I mean, look
their
at
film
Tom
in.
Cruise and
But
his
he's
struggles.
apparently he's fighting to get a second week opposite uh, uh,
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, yeah. And the thing is, it's like they're not giving themselves the chance to actually get the audience. People are filling those seats first. They want to see it in the best form of theater they can watch this, that movie in. I'm the same way. If I see a Star Wars film, I want to see it in IMAX or Dolby, straight off the bat. That's the first thing I want to do. I'm not going to go to a digital regular secondary theater within the auditoriums or whatever, because I'm not going to get that opening experience. The problem is now you've got a big budget extravaganza. This is the first Pixar film of the summer right now. Excuse me. First Pixar film of the summer, and it's doing really badly. Why? Because it's up against another big blockbuster,
Well, it also
expected,
didn't
which is the
look
Flash.
like the best
But
Pixar movie. It didn't look like the
um,
top tier. It looks
it
okay,
it
but
didn't, and I'm starting to read reviews about how good it really is, and what you're seeing in the
oh, is
trailers
it?
is not. Yeah, and that's the good thing about
I
Pixar.
thought it had potential, but they were showing
Pixar,
like,
Pixar usually have this trait about showing something that looks really cool, but they're targeting the children more so than they are targeting the adults. And when you watch it, you suddenly realize, for the most part, you're invested in a more of an adult, mature, adult kind of themed film. And apparently, that's what people are saying right now. They actually really enjoyed the movie. I'm going to try to see it this week. But it wasn't the first on my list to see on the opening day. In the end, there are so many films, and there's no 2 week gap. Basically last week was Transformers. The week before that was Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. You've got one film dropping a week from each other
and you
and not
have
giving them the chance to breathe and make the money that they wanted. So the studios are kind of stupid releasing, and I know they got this build up of movies because of COVID, but they really built up this summer as being an overload, and not everyone's going to see it. Even the Flash right now has only made about $60 million by the end of this, opening
yeah, there's so
weekend,
many movies coming out. You have
which
Wes
is
Anderson's
really
movie coming
low.
out next week too, which is gonna
Yeah,
do horrific because
yeah.
look what
It's
it's sandwiched between.
well, it's gonna. I don't know. It's gonna have its own set of. You're gonna have a.
I don't
That's
think it's
gonna.
gonna do great. It
You're gonna
hasn't been
have.
getting good
Yeah.
reviews,
Right.
and you know,
Hey,
I think
Maury.
Wes Anderson's been on a decline for a few years.
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be the
Yeah.
show that I think it's gonna be the thing that pops his bubble of being able to
Yeah.
make whatever he wants, whenever he wants.
Yeah. Uh. Yeah. To a certain degree. I mean, I want to check it out, but at the
It
same
looks
time,
interesting, but
it's.
it also doesn't
Yeah.
look very good. It's
Yeah.
like
I
I
don't
don't
know. It looks.
know.
I'm kind of fascinated in this one for some reason. Just the name alone is fascinating for me. For Asteroid City. It's like okay, but but you've got so many other, and it's not a big blockbuster film. It's
No,
fine that
it's
they do drop smaller films in between the blockbusters, because the big blockbusters are definitely not going to appeal to everybody, and that's also fine too. But the reality is, the blockbusters competing against the blockbusters is going to collapse in everything. That's of the companies and the studios trying to make as much money as they can, because they don't want to make all their money in the first week, even though they usually do. They wanted to make a comeback in the second week, so and have a second week of being able to stretch. Fortunately, we're about 2 weeks off. We've got Indiana Jones coming up, but then soon after we've got Oppenheimer, and Indiana Jones may feel the same
I already have my tickets for Oppenheimer, not Indiana Jones yet.
See, I've got my
which
tickets
is
for Indiana
yeah,
Jones
I
and
know. I was about to say,
Oppenheimer.
I know we haven't flipped, but I
Yeah,
wanted to go see the 70 millimeter
yeah.
print in
Is it sold out?
IMAX.
Is it hard to get into and sold out? I
When
imagine
I
it's
was when I did it early when it was first announced because
okay.
it's only at a few theaters in LA. I think
Yeah,
I'm going to City Walk to go see
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know where else it's playing. I think City Walk probably the closest to you too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've always found that theater. I mean, when I saw the first Avatar film there in 3D, I was not impressed with the seat with the comfort zone of that theater.
Yeah,
And even though you've got the bigger theater, that theater is now 26 years old, 28 years old, or something like that. It's nearly 30 years old, and
and parking
so
there is ridiculous. Like
and parking is ridiculous too. But they really need to rethink a real uh, um, IMAX theater and redesign one in a space in Los
I think all
Angeles.
of City Walk needs to be redesigned. It makes no sense to me
Yeah,
why people
yeah,
want to pay $30 to
yeah.
shop for four
Oh no,
hours
totally,
to
no,
go get a
totally.
couple donuts and stuff
Oh,
like
it's
that. Like,
ridiculous. Yeah, no, it's
and they
ridiculous.
have a comic
It's
book shop
excessive.
there, and I always wonder how do people afford
Yeah.
to get because they don't validate
Hmm.
parking at that shop. So
Yeah,
I don't think I'm not going to
yeah,
speak for them, but
yeah, yeah.
parking there was like $20 for an hour,
Oh,
so
sure.
or
Yeah.
something
Well,
like
even the
that. So
movie,
it's
even
like
if you go to see a movie, you only get $5 back now from the movie for your parking. So it's not exactly
yeah,
all the
it's like
best,
it's so
but
ridiculous. It's like and
hmm
there's every other theater in LA has free parking. Like well, not every
yeah,
other theater, but
yeah, but still
most theaters have
within
reduced price
range.
or
Yeah, totally. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Anything else on the
LA
Flash
rant.
before? Anything else on the Flash before we move on?
Yeah, they severely used basically all of their quote unquote hyped cameo. Not even hyped cameos. They're
Mhm.
actors like Michael Shannon,
Yeah.
wasted. Actress that
Wait.
played
Yeah, I
Feora
agree. Yeah.
didn't have any lines, wasted. She's an actual actress. She's not just like a background extra you stick in the scene.
Sure.
She's
Yeah. No.
I don't know why you
Yeah.
put her in a movie and give her no lines. Like
Yeah. Yeah. She. For those who don't know, she's the she played what's her name? Um, I forgot the name of the character, but
Feora.
Zod's first. Yeah.
Yeah,
Zod's first.
Zod's his first
First.
lieutenant basically.
Lieutenant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. I.
That was baffling to me. Michael Keaton was
Yeah.
wasted
Yeah.
multiple times throughout the movie. They didn't even give him a satisfying ending or anything like that. Like you thought, like, oh, this could give the character a satisfying ending, and
Yeah.
nope, did the
I.
opposite.
I was. I was. I was. I was okay with it. It didn't bother me. Again,
Well, think
like
about how
I'm a little more lighthearted than you. You're very You're very hypercritical because of your love of the comic book world. I'm a
I
little
just think
less
if
critical
you're gonna
because I don't.
spend this much money
Sure.
making one of these projects,
Yeah.
do something, make something you love. Don't do a half-ass
Yeah.
Flash
I
movie
agree.
because superheroes are popular.
Yeah.
It's gonna kill a genre. It's gonna make
Yeah.
it so people like me never get to do anything cool like that because other
Right.
people did it first and killed it.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I at the end of the day was mildly entertained by the Flash. I
I
suggest
just
that
think,
people try to at least check it out if they can at least once. The Dolby, I'm gonna go to a Dolby thing here. The Dolby sound when they were in the Speed Force
it
was
was good. Dolby was
so
good.
good. Was so good in my theater. It was
But think
great.
about this. Think about if they hype the Flash up as the greatest superhero movie of all time, how much is Aquaman gonna suck?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah, that's all I was thinking.
I
Was like,
yeah, I know.
if this is the greatest they have,
Yeah,
Aquaman is going to be and they're not
well,
even they're showing Blue Beetle. They push Blue Beetle ahead of Aquaman.
yeah.
Aquaman's gonna be a dumpster fire.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, apparently the reviews were really like early reactions to watching it was so bad that they've gone back into reshoots. Apparently, from what I understood.
That's what you get when
But
you have all these writers who don't know
but
or like superheroes. Who
but
think this is easy.
here's the question: I is it still slated to be released on the big screen, or is it just going to go
Yeah.
straight to HBO? It is
No,
still really okay.
it's still they keep pushing it back. There's a teaser I think
Yeah.
out there.
Oh, really?
But it's weird because you think they'd show that before any of these DC movies like Shazam or The Flash. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Especially now since it's actually yeah, especially since it's kind of like the only two left next to Blue Beetle.
that's what's
Actually,
baffling to me.
wait, did I? I don't even think they showed a Blue Beetle trailer at the beginning of the. They didn't
They showed
change.
they did for me.
Oh, I don't think I saw the Blue Beetle trailer at the beginning of the Flash. That's weird. No. Anyway,
Let me see when Aquaman 2 is slated because I think it's still slated for early next. Oh, it's still slated for this year.
okay, yeah, they're trying to get it out of the way for sure by end of the year or whenever it is. But
And they spent $205 million on it. There's a
I
trailer, and they're not putting it before any of these
yeah,
movies.
I was watching this interview with Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor on The Flash, and he's got a podcast channel. And I was watching. He had a great interview with James Gunn for about an hour and a half. And James mentions specifically coming up, we've got the Blue Beetle. The Blue Beetle specifically in this new MCU that they're creating. They're allowing that to stick into here, and then he said that's about it coming up, or something to those words. And I was like, oh. Oh,
Are they gonna
oh,
scrap Aquaman?
I
Could you
don't know. I
imagine?
don't know. It just came across as like, don't you have two films coming up? And he only mentions and focuses on Blue Beetle as being the only
It
other
just
one. I was like, that's telling.
this is what just what like
You gotta
worried me
watch the
about this
interview.
whole.
You gotta watch this interview. It's apart from the fact it's a really good interview with James Gunn. It really is kind of telling as to where that is going in the future of his version of he and Peter Safran's version of the DCU.
I'm starting to be more and more confident that the reason why DC is failing and Marvel is succeeding is because DC's going around asking these people, "Hey, you like comic books?" They're like, "Yeah, sure," and they're just writing whatever they could figure out. Well, Marvel's like, "All right, this is what you're gonna write," and these people are like, "Yeah, I have to do what you say," and
Well,
I
that's
think
starting to fail
Marvel's
too, though. But that's
well, yeah, but
that
I think
started off right
they're failing
strong,
on
but now
different
it's
ends.
failing. Yeah, yeah.
They're failing on different ends. I think Marvel is failing because they've gotten too conflated and running in
Hmm.
circles doing the same thing.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think DC is failing because they're letting all these people do whatever they want, and none of
Right.
them are doing what they actually want to do. They're just
Yeah.
doing a superhero
But
movie because
that's
they
why.
can, and that's
But
all the Flash.
James. Yeah.
Like I'm
But
hoping Blue Beetle isn't like that too. I'm hoping the movie has
yeah.
some heart.
Yeah.
But we need these creatives to love what they're doing and love these
But
characters, or we're just gonna have.
James does love what he's doing, and this interview is very good because he does say if he is unfamiliar with characters like he was with the Guardians, he takes his time to actually do the research and figure out what worked from all the points of that research in the
Yeah, but
past.
that's what
So
worries me the most is that he reconfigured the entire Guardians to now the point where the Guardians in the comics are not the characters they were 15 years ago because they had to be reconfigured to what James Gunn did with them, and
mhm.
they're
But that seems like it's an ever
you
changing
can't.
set of characters, though, right? You can
No,
always
no. I mean, Star Lord and Drax are they're old
they're
characters.
OC characters, but
Um,
yeah,
I mean, well, not necessarily. Drax was he's been around. He's been around the block.
right,
Dude's been around forever, doing every which way. He at one point ripped Thanos' heart out of his chest in the Annihilation storyline, which led to the formation of the Guardians.
right,
Uh, and now they're just cheap jokes, and that's what worries me about the DC
right.
universe. Is I don't.
You really don't.
I don't think
Yeah.
comic books can
But
physically take more of these characters being
here's the
just
thing,
whittled
though,
down into their dumbest aspects of
and
them.
I'm going back to the animated series of the Batman animated series and Superman animated series. There were more jokeable characters and story arcs than there were, say, from the X-Men. In my opinion, there was a lot more funny one-liners
Yeah,
coming
because they were
from
going off of
Batman
the
or
golden
Superman.
age. They were going off of the
Correct. Yeah.
golden age
So
character
I feel like that's where
iterations.
I feel like that's more so where that humor should exist if done right. Is my personal
I mean, there
process.
definitely is a place for humor within these storylines.
Sure.
What I'm
Yeah.
worried about is stuff
But
like the ending of the Flash, where instead of getting an actual conclusion to something, you just get a
yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
And
Okay. But I'm going to compare where you can get a good story coming from this. I've been watching this season of Superman and Lois, and it has knocked every other Superman story out of the water for the entire season arc that they've done. Emotionally, that I was weeping for the villain's wife last night watching the
who was the
episode.
villain?
It's Mannheim. Man
Mannheim.
Mannheim, yeah, you know, Mannheim was mob king kind of guy.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I forgot his first name. His wife had an arc that was like, okay, first you felt sympathy, then you felt like, oh my god, and then you felt absolute pure sadness, and that was from the villains. And I've been getting the
Yeah.
same stuff coming from the hero characters, from Lois Lane and Clark Kent and their sons, and
Well, I mean, that's
that
what happens when you
they
tell
hit
stories with human emotions.
human emotions, but they also still manage to have a bit of humor in between these little moments of their drama.
Yeah.
And this is one of the few CW shows that has done. This is the most perfect season of anything the CW have ever put out, from season 3 of Superman and Lois. And so you can see that when done correctly, when they hit the drama points right, if they spend the time to set up their little points, and I know these shows have got longer seasons, and yes, there is a little bit of crap in between the
Well, I don't
stories.
even think it's about
That
longer seasons. I think it's about they have better moments. I think these movies are
right,
not focused
correct,
on these
but to
human
take
beats that they
those,
need.
but yeah, if they took some of these better moments from the TV shows that they are writing for and connect that better moment along with the humor in the feature film, we'll end up with every superhero film being like us, Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Arrow,
Well, I was just about to bring that up. Why
Spider-Verse.
Into
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Spider Verse
yeah,
works so well, even if
yeah,
it's not a complete story, is
yeah.
that the emotions it hits are
That's it.
so
That's
good.
it.
It
Yeah,
hits you with
yeah, yeah,
the setup of what this character wants,
yeah.
feels, and needs. It hits you
I
with
felt
what his parents
I
think
felt those,
about him.
yeah, I felt those same emotions coming from the first Iron Man film. I felt emotionally connected for Tony Stark's struggle, trying to survive, trying to create,
But that's
and I
what
enjoyed
happens
that.
when you
It
don't play
gets
these
lost.
characters like that's what happens when you don't treat these characters like jokes and you actually let their
Yeah,
stories evolve and you treat them like people. And
yeah,
I think that's what the DC needs. And I think we don't need
yeah.
a Batman who's saying stuff like "I'm Batman"
They
for the
need to
sake of
get
it being funny.
regrounded every once in a while. They need to
Yeah, they need
reground
to.
it. Yeah,
And that's what that's what worries me is that we have Andy. I don't know if we've even talked about Andy Muschietti. He's going to be directing the Batman movie, which is a decision that I think was very hastily made. I wonder what his pitch was to get him that job.
yeah,
I hope we have a great writer for it, but
yeah.
because it's just we need Batman as a character, especially if you have Damian Wayne, his son, which is
Right.
the plot they're doing. You need to have
Yeah.
some genuine emotion with that character. Batman
Sure.
is a
Yeah.
very hard character to write
Yeah.
good emotion with and have it be honest to the character,
Right.
not have it just be fake.
Yeah.
And that was my problem with
There's
the
a
Nolan.
yeah. Mello, there's a new Batman. There's two Batmans being shot, more or less going to be in the
Well,
same
actually, they're not going to be
time
shot at
frame.
the same time. I
Oh
think
no, at the same time. Actually,
Reeves'
the other one's
Batman
probably
might
out
come out
yeah,
first.
first. Yeah, but there is a Batman for the James Gunn
That one,
MCU
yeah, it's
that
gonna be
is
called The
not
Brave and the
connected.
Bold.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we need a Dick Grayson movie. I was just
yeah.
saying that to
Mm.
I
Oh
was
yeah,
I met this writer Tom King and he asked me what I
yeah,
want to see in the Batman movie, which
yeah,
led me to believe he may be writing the next Batman movie.
yeah,
And I just kept telling him we need the Bat family. We need
yeah.
those characters that give Bruce his genuine emotional weight to the
Sure.
world. It's
Yeah.
not just about Catwoman and their tortured relationship and Alfred and their father-son
Exactly.
relationship. I think we
Yeah.
need to have the
Yeah.
children around him to show to
Yeah.
show the trauma he lived through, to show what he's trying to prevent happening, to give him
Yeah.
that weight of personal
Yeah,
connection to these
and
children.
failing because obviously Dick
Yes,
Grayson, he took Grayson under his wing. I don't know the
and then they
specific stories behind Tim Drake, why he took him under his wing in the comics at least. I know the
Tim
animated
found
stuff.
him out. Tim basically
Oh, that's
was
it.
the person
Oh,
that
so there was
found
someone
out
else.
Batman's
Okay, okay.
identity. But
All right.
the
Okay.
best one is Jason. Jason,
Hmm.
his retcon origins was
Yeah,
that he was trying to steal the hubcaps off of the Batmobile
that's
to
it.
sell because he's a
Yeah,
street kid whose
yeah,
parents didn't take care of him, and
yeah, yeah.
that is a great moment to put in a Batman movie where it's a
Sure.
kid who didn't have the same opportunities Bruce had. Bruce could have
Yeah.
beat his ass. He could have sent him to jail, but instead Bruce
Hmm.
said, "No, I'm going to give you a better life." And
Yeah.
then he tries to give that kid a better life, and that kid dies because his mother and the Joker kill him together. And that is a weight that Bruce Wayne had to live with for like
Yeah.
30 years of just tragedy that he had to
Yeah.
live with. I failed a Robin, and that is
Yeah.
the emotional weight we need in these
Right.
Batman movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Anyway, my end of the day is go check out the Flash. It's worth at
Malloy, if
least
you want a
watching
good
once. But
Malloy, if you want
yeah.
a really happy, upbeat Nightwing story, read the current run by Tom Taylor. It is nothing but good, happy feels. Him getting along and having a great relationship with Barbara Gordon, and yeah, it's great. I highly recommend it.
Cool. Um, so jumping before we hit the Star Wars news, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny had its
I
premiere this
almost
week.
sent that to you, but I figured you would have seen it before me.
I get happy every time Kehu Huan is just like, look at it. You don't see Harrison Ford smiling that much. Every time that he sees Kay, it seems to be like Harrison Ford just
I think he
loves that
genuinely is
kid. He
proud of him.
genuinely loves that kid and genuinely proud of him. Yeah, and so they had the premiere of the film. It did very well. The audience reaction was a lot more positive than the critical reaction over in Cannes.
I think it's
Every
expected. I mean, that's.
Yeah, to a certain degree, but the thing is that
I
people
think it's the
were
wrong movie to
but
launch at Cannes.
I've been reading all over Twitter. People are saying who went to the premiere. They said, "Do not believe the reviews that the critics were saying. This
Well,
film
I think
is a
Cannes is the
story
wrong place to
about
debut it. It's a very
but this is
stuffy film
yeah,
festival.
yeah, it is absolutely. But this is also a film about an aging man. They don't want to hype up Indiana Jones like Bruce Willis did. Became for Die Hard, where he became like superhero strength when he was jumping out of
I mean,
every
they already did that
it's
in the last movie.
well, that's it. That's what I mean. That film, Die Hard, started off by being just this man in a situation to being a superhero Bruce Willis who could do practically anything. And Harrison Ford didn't want that on set. He wanted to make sure that you were showing an aging man. So yeah, things are going to be slower down, and it's going to be story oriented and stuff like that. So you're not going to get the action adventure
That means it's also going to
madness
be
you
better
used
than The
to. So
Irishman in terms of how they handle a character who is older than a younger action
yeah,
star or a younger person
sure,
who wants to do stunts like that. I think
yeah.
they're probably going to handle it a bit more carefully. They're probably going to show,
Hmm.
not try and hide the fact that he's not throwing a full weight
That's
crazy
it. Yeah,
boxing punch. He's
yeah,
going to be throwing an old man
yeah,
punch.
yeah.
But you
And
never diss old man strength because they'll throw you
for
out.
sure, for sure. But yeah, especially Indiana Jones. But at the same time, it's like, yeah,
Oh, notice he tries to whip and he can't
I'm,
hold on. He tries to like swing with his whip and he's like, "Oh, I'm getting old," and it just slips.
I don't know. Well, anyway, with the audience reaction, at least the public reaction of being positive, I'm still very much hyped for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
I'm happy
Excited
it's
to
not
extend.
going to be a nostalgia fest. I know there is some returning characters, some returning fan favorites, but they honestly could have gone a lot harder with nostalgia with Indiana Jones. They haven't really done a movie where they throw in everything in the kitchen sink that they've done
Yeah.
beforehand.
Well, there was. I mean, the last film, Marion Ravenwood, marrying Indiana Jones made sense. I don't know where that's going in the future.
That is going to be tossed out the window. That last movie is not going to
What?
be met.
What you think it's going to be tossed out the window? Or
I don't think that last movie is going to be mentioned more than twice.
Well, I feel like he obviously gets married to Marion Ravenwood, but the rocky relationship doesn't mean they stay together. Who knows? We don't know. But the fact that we see Sulla in the trailer, I'm very excited to
Oh, was she
see
in the
John Rhys
trailer?
Davies back.
I completely
No,
forgot about
Sulla,
that.
huh? Who?
Oh, I
Sulla?
thought you said she was in the
No,
trailer.
no, 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 no. She turned up to the premiere the same way that they had Key there. So I don't know if I have no idea if she's
If
in
those
it.
characters are in the movie, I think that will be a bad thing. I think people
Yeah,
don't want more of those
yeah. Well, there
manufactured
will have to be.
nostalgia.
There will have to be. Well, the thing again, the Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, King of the Crystal Skull. It made sense that they tie in the Marion Ravenwood
Yeah,
as
that
well,
one
and I thought they
made
did it very
sense.
tastefully. I enjoyed
I
how
just
they
think people
pulled her
don't
into.
want it to be like the current Marvel movies where they're just
Sure.
like, "There,
Oh
you see
no.
that actor that was in this thing? Look, he's
No, no,
back."
no,
Like,
not
I
at
think
all, not at all,
they're
not at
trying to
all.
avoid that.
But Sulla, just to see Sulla back, it's like we haven't seen him in any since Last Crusade. So it was like, okay, it's good to see him back and know he survived all those years
That
of
one was funny to see in the trailer, and I was
yeah,
like, "Okay, that one makes sense."
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, that's coming out in 2 weeks' time. Let's kind of end this soon, but we're going to talk about Star Wars Outlaws, the new
Yeah.
trailer that dropped for the game. This is kind of like they've got a BX series droid, commando droid that we saw way back from the Clone Wars. I don't know who this female character is. She's obviously this main story that we're tagging along. And this new little creature, I think it's called Nyx or yeah,
Nyx.
Nyx
Yeah,
is
Nyx
his
is
name.
the creature's name.
They basically said, make baby Grogu cuter, and they basically gave us a little Mogwai dog creature that is so freaking adorable. You
I
know
call it
that
a loth squirrel.
a loth squirrel. That's kind of cool. These things are going to be selling in Galaxy's Edge, I'm sure, in the
Oh
future.
yeah.
I hope so. I really hope so. I want one. I mean, how cute is that? That is adorable. Yeah, it's you know, I'm as you know, I'm not a big gamer, but I enjoyed sitting down with a Jedi Survivor and watching an edited version of the story. And that basically is like a 2.5, nearly 3 hour story arc. But it was a cool, solid story. And this is now the first time that we're getting characters around the syndicates
Yeah,
and
it's the first time we're getting Pikes in a
stuff like
game. This
that.
is going to be the first
Yeah,
open world Star Wars game.
yeah,
So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot
yeah.
going on. We don't know that much about it. We don't know what planets are going to be explorable, to what extent they're going to be explorable. Um, we just know about the character a little bit, about her little friend Nyx,
Yeah,
and yeah, the Pike Syndicate are going to be the main enemies, and
yeah.
we've seen in the trailer Han Solo is still frozen in
In
carbonite. So
Carbonite, yeah, and we see
we know when
Jabba
it
at one
takes
point.
place.
Yeah. It's interesting to see this droid because we haven't seen them since the Clone Wars. I'm loving the atmospheric planets that they're creating in this, at least from what we see in the trailer. This character seems interesting. He's people keep comparing him to Kyle Katarn, who is a character from the Shadows of the Empire series, I think it was, but it's definitely not Kyle Katarn for sure.
I always loved that his first name was Kyle. I always made me laugh. Like you could name
Yeah.
anything in the galaxy, and you're like Kyle.
Yeah.
That's our hero's name.
Yeah, but I'm liking that, you know, that kind of rogue look that character's got. I have no idea what he's all about. A new ship. Actually, I feel like we've seen similar versions of this ship before, but we haven't quite seen this style. So I don't know what the class of ship is on Starship is. The tentacles on the creature is creepy. No, it's not creepy. Well, it kind of looks a bit like a spider, I guess. In fact, yeah, a little bit spidery. I guess you could say a little creepy, but I kind of enjoy it. And the cityscapes are beautiful.
Yeah, I really hope that is Coruscant. And I've been waiting because we've seen Coruscant loosely in video games before.
Yeah.
In the Boba Fett game or Jango Fett game, yeah, Jango Fett game, you can
Yeah.
explore Coruscant a little bit. In the new Jedi Survivor, you can explore a little bit of Coruscant. But I want a Coruscant where you can just kind of hang out and do stuff in.
Yeah, makes sense. What is this? What's the platform this is going on?
This is going to be on PlayStation 5,
Right.
Xbox Series S and X, and
Okay.
PC, I
Right.
believe.
It's weird. It's like, as I said, I'm not a gamer, and I probably don't invest any sort of time into, you know, into gaming. But like, as these worlds are getting more developed, and the more you can seemingly move around them, I want to just, you know, I want to be able to see a VR version of a Star Wars game now that is just that kind of detail that I could just move through and just walk
Give it a
around.
couple
And
years.
not
It'll
even play,
happen.
yeah, and not even play the game. Not even play the game. Just simply
Just
walk
walk
through the
around.
streets. I would be freaking excited for that. I'd do that for sure. But yeah, I mean, nice 2.5 minute trailer. It's out there for Star Wars Outlaws. Comes out next year, I believe, and yeah, it looks like a cool story. It looks like an ideal situation to be, you know, picking up on, you know, during the Empire, what it's like to be in the syndicates and all that sort of stuff. Another a story that we have not really truly seen the strength of. We've only seen parts of it in Solo about the syndicates and stuff. So I'm kind of excited to see where it goes from there. Yeah, and then last thing, a few more images from Ahsoka from the Empire magazine. They've dropped a few more. Oh, sorry, another one came from Film magazine too. So just behind the scenes, I'm that's coming out soon too. Oh, and that's the other thing it drops this week.
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars.
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. Sorry,
not
yeah.
Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Marvel just remembered this week that it was coming out too. It was like everyone forgot about it. No one's been marketing it. They were like, "Shh, it's a secret."
We'll probably do midnight reactions throughout.
I'll be watching it no matter what. I like that event. It was a fun, silly, stupid event when it happened, and
I think we'll do the midnight views, depending on work and stuff like that. If it gets really busy with work, it gets harder to get up that next morning. But otherwise, starting Tuesday night into Wednesday, we'll do a reaction video, and I'm sure Jason will be back with us as well, and we'll do all that. But any other thoughts of news this week, or is it pretty much? I think we're at the end at this point. Otherwise,
I think at the end of the news this week. Yeah.
That is. Yeah. Well, everybody out there, thank you for joining us. If you have not already, please like and subscribe. And we will be doing and starting back on reaction videos as of this coming week. And then on Wednesday nights, we'll be on Jason's Twitch channel, probably talking about more AI stuff and all that sort of thing. So, Max, thanks for joining us. And everybody out there, thank you for watching. And we shall catch you all again soon. See you later.